What?
JRPG news.
I already knew that.
Oh, damn it. Thought I was going to be all surprising, but I guess we're not going to catch our co-host Zoltan off guard this week. How you doing?
Doing well. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Hey, words. We do them. Hello, my name is Mel. That was Zoltan. This is the Dude JRPG News, where we cover Japanese role-playing game news and other, Eastern game development news here and there.
And by coincidence, we both happen to be dudes.
We do, yes, huh? Never thought about that. Well, it is a coincidence. Biggest piece of news, of course, coming out of this previous week, as you all know, is the Game Awards and a bunch of little bits and pieces of information that followed as a result of that. So I'm going to let Zoltan take it away with... What do you want to start with first? You have a whole bunch of stuff.
I got lots of fun stuff to talk about. Well, let's go with just a bunch of quickie, random announcements. I'll do that one later. Genshin Impact is getting a new area added in. It's in the 1.2 update coming December 23rd. The area is called Dragon Spine. It's like it's a mountain range area, and it's going to have some quests in there, and it's probably pretty fun. I downloaded the game and played it once, and it's beautiful. But I don't know if I'm going to continue because it pisses me off that you have to be online for it. Like, even though it's not an MMO. It's a free-to-play game, but it's not an MMO. Well, I know I need to have it online to download updates, but they won't even let me log in to play the game. It's a log-in game. Ugh. So that's annoying to me. Because usually I don't have PS4 plugged into the internet. I usually have the PS3 plugged into the internet. Anyway, the next Mass Effect game, the trailer for it was announced. The next Mass Effect game was announced through a trailer, but like seriously, no information at all. In fact, this is the worst video I've ever seen for a game. Really, the worst one in terms of, am I gonna know anything about this? There's no way that it just showed a bunch of space. I'm sure that's not specifically a space area gonna be used in the game. And then this woman is walking through a frozen snowy mountain range. I'm sure that scene's not gonna be in their game. It's just, you can tell. So no name for it, no even release year, anything. So, and it's probably gonna be terrible. It's my expectation. I don't know. What do you think, Mel?
Oh boy, BioWare just ain't BioWare anymore. That's for sure.
They aren't. I mean, like I said in the previous week's news, the two most senior members left. So that's the end of that, I think. Scarlet Nexus NEXUS is going to come out in summer of 2021. That's a Bandai Namco action RPG. It looks really dramatic and dark, but it's got the bright anime. I wouldn't even say bright. It's got the normal anime aesthetic. Coming out for all the consoles and PC, but not Switch. Did you see the trailer for that, Mel?
No, there were a whole bunch of trailers. I was poking my head in and out of that whole shebang.
Yeah. That looks like a pretty cool, very high budget game, by the looks of it anyway. So, okay, Monster Hunter Rise, the Switch exclusive next Monster Hunter game that's coming out. It's gonna have a limited time demo coming out this January. So check that out. And I believe the game is gonna come out March 26th. Yeah. Boom. The next Dragon Age game. The boom is me. The sound of me deleting the window from my.
Boom.
Yeah, boom. That one's gone because I didn't script it today, guys. The next Dragon Age game also got award announced through a trailer. Isn't this also BioWare? Yeah, and Mass Effect is also BioWare, right?
Yeah.
Both games
Yeah.
equally don't tell you anything. I don't know. Maybe the little city thing they showed could be actually a place you go to in the game. Maybe. But you're not going to get more than that from that trailer. No name, no release date.
Inquisition, also a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. I played it myself. I didn't like it.
Me neither.
So that's that. I did enjoy, though. There's like an option in that game called persistent gore, and what that means is if you cut an enemy, their blood splats onto your armor and stuff. It'll stay there for a long while, I guess. And it's insane because if you have just one battle, you're completely covered in blood stains. It's pretty hilarious.
I remember that being true in the Dragon Age Origins, which I also didn't get into very heavily, but I heard very good things about that game.
So did I.
I just never had the time to dive into it, but I do. Was like the one thing I remember about it.
Persistent gore.
Yeah.
Okay, Disco Elysium Final Cut is some upgraded version of Disco Elysium, the popular open world RPG, and that's also going to come to. It's going to be on PS5, PS4, PC, Stadia, Switch, everything. Yeah, everything. Sorry, everything except for mobile. So if you're into that, and I don't really understand when I read the key features, and I do not understand them. A new political vision quest. Okay, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Full voice acting. I don't know if there was voice acting not in it before or what. Improved playability, which is referring to controller support and customization.
Oh.
So that's good, I guess. Real role playing. What? Customize your character with wildly different skills. Was that not a thing before? That sounds like a whole thing that needs to be play tested a lot if it's new. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just what was in the original one, and they're just it's not really saying it's different, so I'm not sure. But you get a free upgrade for this one if you already own it.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That one I remember hearing. I was like, wow, they're adding all these features, and if you already own it, you get it for free.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Now this one's a really interesting one. A team called, I guess this counts as an independent studio. Onion Games is the studio. They're announcing a sandbox RPG. Now, you may not have ever heard of this studio. I had not. But their most important game for people like us who care about JRPGs would be the game Moon, which was a PS1 Japan-only RPG that recently came out on, I believe, the Switch in English for the first time in English. So I want to say it was a pretty big deal, although, to be honest, I don't know anybody who's played it. I don't think any of the JRPG channels that I watch, which is a lot of them, have, reviewed it even. So,
yeah, this is one of those, it's got a die-hard kind of following the games that this developer has made. Tulip is another game out of this studio.
Okay.
Or the person, I think it's actually an individual who is responsible for these.
The founder of the game is named, the founder of the studio, Onion Games, is Yoshiro Kimura. So, Japanese dude.
Right. Yeah, so games like Tulip, Moon, Little King Story, he worked on that.
Huh.
Let's see what else, because I was looking at the same article in a different site. Million Onion Hotel, I heard about that. That one's kind of a quirky one. Sort of like a puzzle type of action game. And a couple other ones that I hadn't heard of. So, yeah, this will be interesting. This will be definitely one. And Moon, like you said.
Right. And so this guy is saying that this is going to be my last RPG because they take forever to make. And I'm old. That's basically what he said. He literally says, basically, I can only, if I'm gonna make a sandbox RPG, I have to do it now because I'll die before I can finish it if I wait for anything.
How old is this man?
I don't know. He didn't say. He just said it's his last chance because he's getting old. And the most interesting one to me in the quickie section is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. is also going to get a PS5 version. Not that getting a PS5 version is interesting to me. I'm just happy to hear about this game, that it's actually going to happen. This is being developed by Cygames, I believe. It's got beautiful anime characters. I really like the concept art. The characters, it's anime, but the characters are drawn in watercolor. I believe that is watercolor. That's what it looks like to me. They look more detailed than, like, say, the Metal Gear Solid, like the first Metal Gear Solid. Those bosses were all designed, like concept art was drawn in watercolor. Can you remember what those look like, Mel, by any chance?
The original Metal Gear Solid on the concept art, right?
Yeah, the Solid. So it is the PS1 Metal Gear game. But yeah,
right.
the
I think I know
concept
what you're
art.
talking about.
Yeah, it was drawn in with watercolor. And so, it seems like it's a medium that's difficult to get good detail with. Lots of splotches of
Right.
water-based paint everywhere is
Very,
kind of how it works.
very
But
abstract looking.
yeah, these ones don't look abstract at all. They look like anime, they just look more, I guess, less brightly colored because of the way watercolor looks. But that's the art. In the game, just looks kind of more classic anime characters, but their designs look really cool to me. And in case you guys forgot, this is the one where several months back there was a video of four anime characters. It's a 4-player game, yo. I'm sorry. I don't know that it's actually for 4 separate players, but you have 4 characters. But they've referred to that previous Cygames themselves have referred to that previous 4-character demo that they showed as a 4-player thing. I don't actually know that it's online or couch co-op or anything, to be honest. But they just recently released a new 23-minute gameplay video. I watched the whole thing just because as soon as I started it, it was too beautiful to stop watching, even though I didn't have time to watch it. So I watched it, yo. One interesting thing to me. So it's kind of like Star Ocean in that you got 3 other people besides yourself, all being controlled by the AI. But you can, like, send them commands and things like that. And the one really just, man. So in the previous one, they showed like 4 guys killing a dragon, but this time it was you're 4 guys and you're on an airship in the sky flying on the airship, and it's one of those awesome, impossible to ever build in real life airships because it's just impractical, because it's got that gigantic open deck with tons of open space to move around and run on. Like, nobody would ever make a boat like that, right? Unless it was a cruise ship. Right? It's kind of like that. But it's awesome. So you're on your airship, and you're surrounded by like 3 other airships flying through a cloudy space. And you can look off to the sides, and you can totally see the other airships flying near you. And then one, like, crashes into the side of you. I'm sorry, before that happens, you man the cannons, and you shoot down their shots towards you, and you shoot at them. And it just looks like to be honest, once you've made the visuals and that whole environment, you don't even really have to worry about like how good the gameplay numbers, how the balance, the challenge, and all that's gonna be. It's just gonna be awesome to go in there, man the cannon, and shoot at the other ship. The ship comes in, crashes into your ship, and while it's crushed up against your ship, you jump onto that ship, run in there, fight all the humans, kill the boss. It's freaking cool looking, yo. So
certainly painted a vivid enough picture.
Yeah, I guess I did. Sorry, guys. But one really cool thing though is it has two playable characters that you can play as Gran and Jita. Gran being the male character and Jita being the female character, and you could just like go into the menu and switch between whichever one you want anytime. I don't think they're even different characters in the story. Like, it's just the same as you choosing your character. And you picked male or female at the beginning. It's just that. Just you can switch in the middle anytime. And they look totally different too, because they have different. They have set designs. You don't like get to choose how they look and stuff. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, a lot of people are thinking this game looks really cool, and I'm one of them. But
well, I agree. It looks really cool.
Yeah. How will the numbers turn out? The challenge and all that, because it's full on action RPG. Yo. Like, I don't know. It looks to me like, I mean, I don't know. They do avoid damage by running around, running between projectiles, so there is that aspect of it. But I'm wondering how important the level up aspect is in that game. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. That's all the quickies, yo.
All right.
Whew.
I got a couple ones. I guess they could also be considered like kind of quickies there, but in little separate slots here. So, Near Replicant, you've heard about this? Is
Yeah.
getting there was a trailer at the Game Awards. So it's, I don't know, for someone like myself who has not played the Nier games, I know Nier Automata is like the most recent one,
Yes.
and then Nier is the one that's a sequel to. But there are other ones in the mix that I wasn't aware of, so I had to look it up, and because I had heard all of these terms before, I just was never sure which one is which. So
Okay.
apparently, Nier Gestalt was the Japanese version of Nier released on the 360. There's an
Yes.
alternate version titled Nier Replicant, released exclusively for Japan on the PS3,
Both of those
with
were
a
released
younger
exclusive.
male
Yeah.
character.
Yes. That's
And
exactly
then,
right.
yeah, so there's another remaster of Replicant that has a whole bunch of numbers at the end of it, version 1.
2239,
Whatever. I don't know if that's a
whatever.
reference to something.
It must be right.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it must be. Which is now being released for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC for April 2021.
Yeah. It's a really weird situation.
It is, yes.
Because yeah, like I assume they made the Japanese version first, right? So I think what happened is they made Gestalt first and released it on Xbox in
I
Japan.
think
No?
maybe what ended up happening was So I think the whole thing behind Nier was they wanted a Western appealing
Oh,
Japanese,
did they want that?
Eastern game.
Okay.
So they thought their way of doing that was, well, the main character should be an older guy.
To
Because,
be
I
honest,
don't
I
know.
think that works.
Yeah,
In
it
my
probably
opinion.
does.
Yeah.
And then they retooled it somehow. I guess there's like a story reason the way they did it.
Uh-huh.
And they made the main character a younger person because that's typically the way it's done in Japan. And that was Near Gestalt. And then they remade that Near Replicant later on. So that was all only in Japan. Now we're getting that version, which I guess has a whole bunch of gameplay improvements. It's like the director's cut version of the game, essentially, that we had never really got.
I don't believe it's different at all. I mean, this new one will be, but that
Right.
Near Replicant that came out, the only difference between I think we haven't really explained the different versions clearly enough. In America, we have just Nier, and that came out on several systems. In Japan, the Japanese version of that, there is Nier. The Japanese version of that is called Nier Gestalt, and it's on the Xbox 360 only in Japan. And those are exactly the same game. And then
Yeah, those two are the same.
Yeah.
Replicant, the original Replicant, and this new Replicant version, whatever,
yeah,
are the different ones.
yeah, and near the PS3 Japan only version. There's the PS3 Xbox only version, which I just said, and there's the Xbox only Japan version that I mentioned, and now there's also the PS3 only version. And all they did was they changed the character to a younger looking dude. He still has like the same moves and the same sword and everything. And instead of being that old dude searching for your daughter, trying to save your daughter, you're the younger dude and you're trying to save your sister. And so all they did was they changed the way the dude looks. They changed all the words, daughters to sisters, and all the. That's it. That's all they did. And then they released that one on PS3 in Japan.
That's funny. I thought they did more, or I thought they would have done more. I didn't realize it was
No,
like, nah, too old.
That's it. Just it's too old. Let's make a younger one. And so that was Near Replicant. So
Gotcha.
we're getting a remake of that one. I think people in America, at least, would be more happy to receive a remake of Gestalt. Personally,
Maybe.
I
mean,
would.
I heard like there was a diehard fan base for that original Nier release. I never got it myself. I
Right.
came close to pulling the trigger on Nier Automata a couple times. They
I would
both look
probably
like
like it.
great games.
Yeah, I think I would like it. It's got sexy robot women, and
Hmm.
it's
Really
got
good soundtrack.
it's yeah. It sounds like it has a pretty cool soundtrack, and it's one of those games that has lots of different gameplay
Oh
styles
yeah.
integrated into it. So I mean, I don't
It's
know
like
what they all
partly a
are.
shoot 'em up. It's like an action third person action game. Partly it's like a shoot 'em up where in some places you really are flying around and shooting, and other places it's just your character avoiding enemy attacks that are giant red orbs that
Yeah,
look like they're
projectiles.
coming out of like Ikaruga.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's a weird genre mashup of at least those two. Um, Really crazy dupe storyline that follows between the two of them. So
Hmm.
anyway, we got a trailer for that. It's a little gussied up for newer hardware from the original Replicant release.
Yeah,
That was in the Game Awards.
that's pretty cool. I think.
Um, yeah, I think that's great news.
I wish it
I
was
will
gestalt
do.
personally.
Yeah, it's something I've actually always said, and I was never really sure how much people agreed, is there just aren't enough like older people in games in leading roles who aren't like, you know, NPC fucking quest givers,
Yeah.
like old wizards, like just an older adult person, man or a woman, in like an action capacity.
I mean, going out to save his child too, right? So
Yeah, I think
that's a
that's a
little more
really
rare.
cool.
Hmm.
It is more rare. I know we had games like The Last of Us, but especially coming out of Eastern game development,
Yeah,
it's
JRPGs,
very
right?
rare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. When you do get them, there's almost this like insulting capacity to call anyone who's like touching 30 years old to be like old and past their prime.
I know, right? Like,
Like, oh, the old veteran, so and so, he's 32.
isn't it really like that? Like, I'm looking it up right now. FF13. What's his
Hmm.
name? Saj.
Oh yeah, how old is
Saj
that guy supposed to
age.
be?
Because throughout Final Fantasy 13, okay. Oh, are you serious? Okay, he's 40. That's a little bit more
All right, that's
acceptable.
getting close to being like able to actually complain about your age.
Yeah, I'm also 40, yeah, but like he was constantly like I'm too old, like all the time, and I'm like I bet he's like 31, but no,
Yeah.
okay, he's 40.
Okay. All right. A little more accurate there. Um, I'll do one more here since you did a whole bunch, but I don't want you to. Well, you know what? You go next because you have more in general to me.
Yeah, I have a whole. I did all that whole bunch was just one yo.
I know.
Okay, let's see. Let's go Cyberpunk. Oh no.
No.
Yes, let's go Cyberpunk. So Cyberpunk 2077, and CD Projekt Red, the company that makes it, doing some shady things that people these days refer to as shady.
Hmm.
Turns out, some. Let me think. I believe the release, the review embargo date was 2 days before the game actually came out, if I remember correctly, December 7th or something like that.
The
Um,
embargo to release the review.
the review, yes,
Gotcha.
right, and so whatever, that's fine, I guess. But the thing that happened, CD Projekt Red told all those people, you're not allowed to use your own game footage that you
Hmm.
capture,
Hmm.
which is freaking suspicious, right?
It is.
Yeah, and also, they were no review copies of console versions were sent out to anyone. So only the PC version was reviewed early, and nobody was allowed to use their own game footage. So
Mm.
very very suspicious, right? And so I didn't watch the entire thing, but Yong Yeah released an hour or so long review on the early day, but then like
Mhm.
2 days later, he's like released another hour long review part two, and I'm like, what? But that's not what I watched to get this information. He released another video explaining that now finally original original console footage is coming out now that the game's actually out. Anybody can put whatever they want on the internet, and it turns out all the console versions are basically unplayable. Even the PC version that did get reviewed early, lots and lots of bugs have been found in that, and I'm talking everything you can imagine, yo. Like maybe worse than Bethesda, I don't know, but we're talking like the character model's dick clipping out of its jeans, so it looks like you can see it all the time, like stuff like that. Like
that's so good.
I know, right? Falling through the environment in places, and then that's just random ass glitches that you can find on any version, but consoles in particular. It's absolutely horrible, yo. Don't buy the game. It's that level. Do not buy the game for a long time, I would say. They should have.
Especially on previous gen hardware, because it's a cross-generation game.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Part of the reason why it's got as many problems as it does. I think the Digital Foundry guys said that it does run. I mean, obviously, it runs better on current gen hardware than it does on like the PS4 and whatever. But if you're like me and you have a base PS4 and not even a PS4 Pro,
same here.
I would not. And if that were my only console, I would not buy this game.
I considered it, but then I heard about this. Like, whoa, good thing I didn't buy that.
There's a lot of performance issues on PC. I've heard a whole bunch of mix of things performance related, like. If you turn the graphics up, the performance gets better somehow.
What?
Very strange. Yeah.
That's
like
weird.
if you try and lower the settings, you lose frame rate somehow.
That's weird. So in the case of like PS4, base PS4, it's crazy. You know how in Dragon Quest XI, if you run too quickly up to a door, you can see it look kind of blurry at first, but then it fades into beautiful resolution slowly. So they did that dynamic resolution thing, which I'm a huge fan of, which makes the graphics look worse for a little while until it can be loaded to look nicer.
Level of detail, LOD.
LOD.
Yep.
As you just said, the level of detail. But the frame rate never goes down. So that's the trade-off, and that's the wonderful thing about it. But in this game, it's the worst of both worlds on like PS4, for example. You walk up to a guy and literally up to 20 seconds to load a person, for example. That's freaking forever. Dragon Quest, it's like a door is fully loaded after 5 seconds, yo. And it doesn't look that bad after the first second either, really. But man, like seriously, walk up to a police officer in Cyberpunk, and it looks like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1 on PS1 for 20 seconds, and then he finally finishes loading. But aside from having that, also constantly frame rates going down to 15 per second, like constantly all the time everywhere you go, if you're in a city, I mean. So that's that. Don't buy it for a long time.
The Witcher 3, when it released, had a lot of issues. Obviously, this is a much bigger scale game in terms of production value. I think the game world itself is smaller, but it's way denser.
Yeah.
And obviously, it took a lot more effort to get this game out the door. And The Witcher 3, just as a comparison, when it first released, ran like garbage, I remember. And they actually had to patch the way the main character, Geralt, walks around. They like fundamentally redid the physics on the character model, the way he moves. And they left in like an option, like, do you want the way we did this originally, or do you want to do... Is it going to turn this option on for like the updated walking around physics?
Oh, weird.
And inventory management, they also redid top to bottom, which I heard is another issue in Cyberpunk.
Top to bottom? What do you mean?
Sorry,
what did they redo top to bottom?
In The Witcher, they had to redo the inventory management.
The inventory management,
because it was just cumbersome the way you had to... there was a weight system and a limit generally on what you could carry around. And so it just meant you had to leave stuff, run back wherever, pick it back up, and it was just time wasting.
Hmm.
And they did do some things to fix it. Also, in the way it organized their inventory was really hard to like figure out what you wanted to sell, what you wanted to keep, and what was what. They fundamentally reworked the way his inventory works. In this game, one of the things I heard people complaining about is after short order, your inventory comes clogged up with all sorts of very samey looking equipment that is apparently not easy to suss out. Hey, should I get rid of this, sell this, whatever?
Hmm. Yeah, a thing that I dislike in video games now is too many items.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't like getting drowned in samey loot. Like, it can be done well, but I feel like too many games are doing that now.
Yeah. I think one of the things that bloats the amount of items in a game is when they have crafting systems, right? And so, like, lots of things are ingredients just to make
Mm,
another thing, and so you're carrying
hmm
around all this random stuff. But I was watching somebody play the game, and it's their first time to play it. And so they're walking into this house, and like, okay, I'll grab this thing, and I grab this. All these random things in the house that you can grab, kind of like the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and it took me a while to understand the appeal of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, but eventually I figured it out. But in the end, thinking back to the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, I don't know, like maybe they didn't need to allow you to pick up every cup on the table and every fork and every individual carrot and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They could have streamlined that a little because there's not really any meaningful interaction you can do with, say, a cup, right? I mean,
That was the whole. I think like it existed for its own sake. It was
yeah,
there so that you could show, hey, I could pick this up. You never would though.
yeah. There's no reason to. Totally, yeah. So, yeah, if there was something to do with them, maybe, but they could have just like, created an animation where you sit down at the table and push the button to drink the drink or whatever. That would have been, everything you need to do with a cup in a game, right? And that hardly takes any effort to do something like that. So yeah, I don't know how deep it goes, but it looks like you can pick up all kinds of random little things. And I'm looking at the things that the guy's picking up. I'm like, what is all this stuff? It's so much random little things. Are they all going to be used? So,
Probably
I mean,
not.
it's a big, huge game. So yeah, you got to pick and choose.
We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, don't buy Cyberpunk 2077 for a long time.
That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. Pretty
All right.
pretty unfair that they wouldn't let the game reviewers use their own footage.
Yeah, this game came in super hot. It came in. It was delayed a couple extra times
Yeah, 3 or
beyond what
4
they said it
times.
was going to. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a fair amount. So they had to hit this holiday season, hell or high water. So they had to do, and it's important to note that reviews do tend to come out earlier than a couple days before release, usually like a week or so.
Mhm.
The reviews get posted. And the no footage, that's another kind of a red flag there. I did see an article that was, or a tweet rather, from Jason Schreier, the guy who was on Kotaku, now he's with Bloomberg.
Okay.
He posted I guess, a leaked memo from CD Projekt Red saying that their performance bonuses would no longer be tied to Metacritic for this year,
Dude, it
given
never should have been. Yeah.
never should have been.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're doing you a favor. I'm like, you're doing what you should have done the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you could call that a favor. Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, in light of the circumstances, we are not going to use Metacritic to whatever for your
Mhm.
bonuses. So,
Yeah.
hey, good, I guess. Great.
That is good, yeah.
It is good, genuinely, but it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, aren't we great? Yeah, I guess you can't say that they're
aren't
great
you
for it.
pat yourself on the back too hard there? You'll break your arm.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on quickly to our next one here. We still have a little bit to get through. So in the Game Awards, there was another trailer I want to touch on here. It's for a game by South Korean developer. The game is called Crimson Desert. Did you see this trailer?
I saw it. Looks pretty cool.
It does. It does.
It's a
that
trailer,
thing.
though.
It's a trailer.
It had
but
gameplay,
it does
though.
give you a little bit. It had gameplay. It was a gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what the story is about, but it's like a high fantasy thing. It's simultaneously very interesting and also really not, because it's like it looks like so many other things that we've played.
It does,
But
yeah.
it looks like it might have the capacity to be a very good one of those.
Okay.
It looks like it's at least doing a very solid version of that, where obviously it looks very high production, looks modern and new. And it does that thing, I think, what was it? The name of that game that baseball player made. What's the name of the game?
Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yeah. You know when you hit an enemy and the action pauses for like a split second?
Oh, yeah.
It does that thing.
It was doing that hardcore, yo.
It really was.
Yeah. I was watching that thing, and I'm like, it looks kind of like the screen's constantly shaking every time. I don't know.
Every time you basically made contact with an enemy, the game would do like sort of a
jolt.
impact pause.
Yeah.
Very briefly, which is a tool that, like we were saying, is used in other games. I kind of like that. I think, Dragon's Dogma did that a whole bunch.
Oh, really?
If you recall, that game definitely did that a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that. I think it lends itself kind of a cool look and a feel to it. So hopefully it's not forgettable. That's the most I can say. And South Korean game development is always, it's kind of an up and comer a little bit in the industry. So also worth kind of keeping an eyeball on outside of like the MMO genre,
The game that does the opposite of that pausing and making a big deal out of every hit that you make, the game that is the opposite of that would be Symphony of the Night, right? Like, for example, there's a weapon you can get pretty early called the Rapier, and if you do like a Hadouken motion or something and then push the attack button, he'll do like one of those Honda 100 hand slaps, but with the rapier, like quick jabs, like 7 in a row really quickly. And like you walk up to an enemy and do it, and it's like, and you hit them like 7 times, but they're just like totally moving and not phased by it at all. Just the numbers pop up quickly is all.
Never thought of that. You're right. There is no like hit stun in that game, really.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, hopefully this one's good. I only have one more little story here. You still have a couple, so I'll let you take the next one. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just introduce you guys to some videos that came out that are RPG videos. Eric Landon RPG released 10 things you didn't know about Xenogears, and I didn't know some of them, and I know a lot about Xenogears, so it might be interesting. Yeah. And yeah, basically no spoilers, so I think you could watch it too if you're interested, but then if you haven't played the game, it might not be interesting to you.
Yeah, I might not really understand anything.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really story stuff in the game or even really much about gameplay. It's mostly about the development. It's like, for example, one thing that I learned, because that a lot of people know that Xenogears was proposed to be Final Fantasy VII, but it was rejected. Did you know that, Mel?
I do recall hearing that once.
Yeah. And the reason it was rejected was because it was too dark to be a Final Fantasy game. But apparently, the game that we finally got, Xenogears, was actually not nearly as dark as what he had originally intended.
Wow.
According to Eric Landon RPG. I can't imagine how brutal he was originally thinking, but man. Hellfire RPGs released Empire of Sin Review. Gangster strategy RPG, and that does look like a kind of fun game, actually. I didn't know that there were any gangster strategy RPGs out there, but there are. Primal Liquid, this is insane, yo. Primal Liquid released 2 Final Fantasy games, 1 controller. Can I Do It? Part 1.
Huh. What?
Which
Final Fantasy games?
So it's kind of underwhelming when you hear that. He's actually playing So it sounds amazing when I say it. He is playing 2 Final Fantasy games at the same time through 1 single controller. So you push up, both characters in both games move up at the same time, that kind of thing. Yes, but they're both Final Fantasy X. Both of them. Just one's on PC and one's on PS4. Now, of course, the PC version loads way faster and stuff, so they do get desynced. And eventually, like I just clicked forward a little through the video, and I saw that he was running through that Besaid Island first area that has random battles. He was like running through there fighting battles while he was still in the village on the PS4 version or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to get interesting, but it would have been more interesting if he had chose two different games, right?
Yeah, damn. Yeah, two turn-based like menu-driven games.
Yeah, the
Damn.
thing to look forward to in something like that, but of course the thing is it's the whole playthrough. He didn't edit it, right? So
Sure.
you'd have to sit through the whole thing to find it. But the thing to look forward to in something like that is where both games are in a random battle and sitting on the menu, and you need to do something really badly, like heal, for example, in one of the games. But if you do that, you might die in the other game or something.
Mm-hmm.
That situation is the situation to wait for in that kind of video. But I have no idea if it happens because it's the whole playthrough. I didn't watch it, right?
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the idea is great. I just wish you would have chose two different games. Censored Gaming released this PS1 secret feature remained hidden for 26 years, except in Japan. This feature he's referring to isn't just it's not one that just recently came out. It came out a few years ago, I think. But somebody made that video, and so he decided to show that, say what that video refers to, but also talk about some other things that were known in Japan but not known in America. Because apparently do you know the secret, Mel?
No.
If you delete something on a memory card you load up the PS1 with no game in it and then go into the memory card viewer. If you just press L1, L2, R1, and R2 all at the same time, deleted data will re-emerge on your memory card.
Whoa.
Isn't that weird? I don't know.
So it goes into like a recycling bin instead of really being deleted.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know if you can put a memory card. I don't know if it works like after you turn off the console or any of the details, but they show on the screen. He deleted something and then pushed the 4 buttons and it just came right back like magic.
Whoa.
So that's pretty cool. And so he talks about some other things that were not known for a long time in the West, but in Japan, everybody knew that from the beginning. It was in the instruction manual on the PlayStation 1, apparently, in Japan.
Now I'm thinking back to like old school save file menus and how they all had their own little unique icons, and sometimes they had little animations when you went to go delete them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did. And lastly, this is the most interesting one in my opinion. Tark's Gauntlet released 13 Sentinels is Vanillaware's magnum opus review, Tark's Gauntlet. And he makes an excellent point that people like us who haven't played the game didn't think of. 13 Sentinels did not come up in most of the awards, but particularly it did come up in one award. It came up for Best Narrative, but it didn't win. But 13 Sentinels, according to Tark's Gauntlet, is freaking amazing, yo. And if you're like me and you already really liked Dragon's Crown, for example, it sounds like I need to give 13 Sentinels a play. But yeah, the thing that seems really obvious that I didn't think of, but that he did because he played the game, why the hell wasn't 13 Sentinels nominated and also the winner of Best Art Direction? Because hand-painted 2D art that looks insane. I thought Dragon's Crown looked insane enough as it was. 13 Sentinels looks even crazy. Just you watch his video, and it's like, holy crap, that looks insane. So, and apparently what they did with the story was really complicated and actually basically worked somehow. It's like, I think it's actually 13 different characters, if I remember correctly. And he actually managed to interweave 13 different stories together in a way that eventually makes sense, according to Tark's Gauntlet. It sounds like this really impressive thing. So I recommend that video. He doesn't spoil anything. That's the videos that looked good to me.
Oh, all right. Let's go to I got one
You
more
got one
here.
more. Yeah.
So this is the Yakuza Remaster Collection. So this had already come out at some point. This was out on, I believe, PS4 a while back, and now it's being re-released. Let me just see here. I had it queued up, and I scrolled away from it like a doofus.
PS5 and Xbox Game Pass?
I believe, yes, that's where it's coming to now. So this was originally out on, let me see. It was out, I think, on PS4 previously, and it's now coming to PS5 and Game Pass.
Game Pass is the
So-
one where you pay monthly, but then you can play all the games for free aside from that fee? Is that right?
So it's available on the Xbox One and Series and PC. There's a version of it for the PC.
PC.
So if you have a PC, I don't believe you get access to the same Game Pass library. But I don't recall there ever being any kind of like specific like PC Game Pass available. Like for all I know, they're the same.
What games are in the collection? Do you know? Yakuza 0.
For game? Oh, it's 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, 4, 5, and 6. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I believe there was like some availability, like initially. Oh, it was on the PS3. Yeah, originally. And it's been remastered for the current gen systems, and yeah, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5. I'm sorry, not 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, 3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it
And-
myself, so.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't tell you all. I just know the more recent ones. I hadn't been paying a lot of attention. I know Yakuza 0 pretty well, but that's it.
People really love Yakuza 7, the turn-based one. Like Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. Yeah.
A lot of people still talking about that after several weeks
months,
now,
weeks, sorry.
several months or whatever it's been. It's been
Yeah.
out in Japan for over a year.
That's right, yeah. Alpha
So-
Omega Sin is like constantly on Twitter, just like, dude, this is amazing. Dude, this is amazing, over and over again. And then he finished and he was like,
I keep being like, oh, should I buy this? Should I buy this?
you should probably.
I know, I probably
love it.
should.
I'll probably love it.
would.
Yeah. We got things to do, though.
I know. So yeah, that was it. I just wanted to mention that because this series is really gaining a lot of traction worldwide. So if you're into that, we got the remaster collection. If you really want to catch up on everything Kazuma Kiryu or whatever his name is,
I believe that's the right name, yeah.
was up to after his arc ends. I believe on Yakuza 6.
Yeah.
All right. You have 2 more to do.
2 more to go. Let's talk about the Game Awards. Woo!
Been beating around the bush a little bit on it, but yeah, the whole Game Awards happened, and I guess we had a couple predictions.
Yeah.
That more or less came true.
Yeah, they basically came true. So I guess most important one for us personally, as a JRPG channel, is the best. I wish I should have edited this list. My apologies. Would be, of course, the best RPG. There it is, and the winner was Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is a solid game, but not bad. Yeah, not a bad choice, I think. I'm personally glad Persona 5 Royal didn't win it, even though I didn't play it. I'm sure it's great, but Persona 5 should be the game that wins it in the year that it came out. Royal, they added a little bit more stuff, and then they're calling it can't really be called a brand new game, right?
I agree. I mean, I think with that caveat on Persona 5, the pool that it's in of Genshin Impact, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, it's an easy win for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, of course, we both would have been, even though we haven't played it, we both would have been pretty happy to see Yakuza win, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very shocked, too.
Yeah. And okay. So best action adventure game went to The Last of Us Part 2. A lot of people upset about that one. A lot of people thought Ghost of Tsushima was better. I didn't actually hear a ton of people say, what about Ori and the Will of the Wisps? It didn't win any of the awards, did it?
No, I don't think it did.
Yeah, I thought, because I remember the first Ori game being a big deal to people. So
Right.
I thought this one would
was
win.
too, but it felt like
It just didn't win
you're
awards,
right,
huh?
It just didn't win any awards.
Congratulations
quiet.
congratulations to Hades for being the best action game.
Hmm.
It's I don't know. It might actually have RPG elements, like as far as leveling
Yeah,
up
it
goes,
does.
anyway. But it's like an action roguelike, and then maybe it has
Right.
some RPG elements. It looks pretty cool to me. And then a few more that are worth talking about for us. Best performance. I totally would have given it to Cloud Strife, the voice actor for Cloud Strife, I would have given it to Barrett's voice actor. That's who I would have given it to. But Laura,
Yeah, you did a good job.
he did a good job, right? I
You
mean,
did.
admittedly, there were some times where it sounded not. It sounded, I guess, I don't know if over the top is right.
It was a little like stilted. But that's
Stilted,
more
I guess,
on
maybe,
the
yeah.
on the scripting. I think that's also partly intentional. His character is a cartoon person.
It is a cartoony character, indeed. So it makes sense, yeah. So I really liked how he did that, the job that he did. A lot of people say he's amazing. A lot of people say he's like just so stupid and terrible. But I'm in the team that says he's amazing. Best performance was taken by Laura Bailey, who's a famous voice actor, but she got for her part as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. I guess as far as performance goes, can't really say she did a bad job, right? So
Yeah, I think
She's
it was
famous,
more the writing
Yeah.
of what the character does.
Her voice
performance
itself.
in that character was fine. I would honestly say everyone's performance in that game was obviously really good. It was all the technical portions, all the pieces and parts of that game were like phenomenal. But that's an issue of money. You have enough money to hire really good talent.
you get that
You'll
award,
get
yeah.
these performances,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Is it? So that's an interesting thing you just said, dude. I mean, a lot of people have said that, but you throw enough money at it, you're going to have awesome graphics. You throw enough money at it, you're going to have awesome music. If you throw enough money at it, can you also have just an awesome story by default like that?
I think that's the hardest thing to do because that requires there's no pool of writers out there. Like I'm gonna hire me a writer, and give me the best one. Like who is that?
Yeah.
Like you have like directors, and if you're talking in the realm of movies and whatever, there are some who are regarded more highly as others, but generally speaking, all the best movies come from a point of I want to make this movie, not fetch me someone to make me a good movie. Those are usually where the bad ones come from.
And so that's the same
From the
situation.
other way around.
Mm.
I think this is the same situation because someone at Sony said, make me a sequel. And they said, all right, well, what do we got? We got this plot point, this one, and this one, and this one.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we can do. And that's kind of what this ended up being. I doubt very much that in the original conception of the story, they had any of these plot points in mind. This was all engineered for the sake of itself, which is where you tend to get weaker storytelling, and I think it shows.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what happened. Okay, so that was that. Good job to Laura Bailey. Didn't she also play the who's the female character in Metal Gear Solid 1? Was that Laura Bailey, or am I getting names mixed up?
I don't know. You're talking Meryl?
Meryl is who I'm talking about.
The character?
The character.
I
thought
don't
it was
remember
her.
who played her.
Well, she's famous. She's in like a million games, kind of like Nolan North and the other guy. There's one other guy who's like in every game. Nolan North is.
And,
Who's the guy that
I
plays?
can't remember his name.
Who's the guy that plays Nathan Drake? That guy.
Yeah, I know. I know who
Okay.
you're talking about.
I'm forgetting his name, but that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best audio design? Well, just audio design. Do we know anything about that, Mel? I don't even, and I make music. Do you?
Audio design?
Right.
Right. What would that exactly be?
We
I
haven't
don't
played
know.
the game. I mean, sound effects and stuff, I guess, are included in that. But yeah, we haven't played in the game, so let's just shut up about that. Here we go. Best score in music. I was happy to see Final Fantasy VII Remake win that one. I think it deserves it. Do you disagree, Mel?
Best score in music out of this pool. Hades had a really good soundtrack, but I guess in this listing here, yeah, I'd be good with the 7 remake getting it. Like, that was also a very, very strong soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Best art direction. This is the one that I think it's insane that 13 Sentinels was not in. Why wasn't it in? Isn't that the place to put best art would be under the best art direction, right?
I guess.
Right? I would assume. Ghost of Tsushima won that one. So good job.
Okay,
there.
I don't recall that being like profoundly artistically directed. I don't know.
No, it probably was, yo. I mean, because it
Was it? Wasn't it?
aren't
just
all
like,
AAA games profoundly
Sure.
artistically.
I don't know.
directed?
I think I'm getting like blowback in my own like I'm getting fatigue sort of on these like feudal era Japan games because there's too many in my head to like remember what they all are.
Really?
now.
I don't think
There's
I've
like
played
a
any.
bunch. I haven't played them either, but I just because I've been on the periphery of all of them, they all kind of blend together. There's Neo 2, Ghost of Tsushima. What's the From Software one?
Oh, that's right,
Uh,
Sekiro.
Sekiro.
That's
and
right.
then I want to say there was a fourth one out there that I don't remember. Maybe I'm imagining it, but they all kind of came out within like this
Same
period
couple
of
years.
each other.
Yeah.
And
Same,
I'm just
same
like,
couple years.
huh.
That's a good point. I forgot about those, I guess. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to that one. Most anticipated game gotta be Elden Ring. That was the winner. What else could it
Yes,
be?
yeah. What else could it be? Breath of the Wild sequel?
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
Maybe.
nobody has any. I don't
No
know.
one knows anything about Elden Ring either.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
For me, I'd be more interested in the Breath of the Wild sequel because I'd be really interested in a good Breath of the Wild. Oh.
Harsh. Best game direction was The Last of Us Part 2. I guess so. I mean, it's kind of weird to say which game had the better direction because basically it's kind of like your Code Vein review that you did. Like, did they accomplish what they were trying to accomplish? Good or bad, if they accomplished that like perfectly and it was a difficult enough thing that they accomplished, that's the person who should get it, right? Whether people liked it or not, the direction was, the difficult thing that they tried to do was accomplished, then that's a successful director, is it not? So
Sure.
in that way, maybe Last of Us Part 2 should be the winner. But then I don't know, yeah. Like if, for example, if Final Fantasy VII Remake won it, can we say, no, they shouldn't win Best Direction because of the Whispers thing? I mean, they wanted to do that, and that's the direction they went, and they took that direction. Is it not? Like,
Sure. I mean, because there's a lot of people out there who don't have a problem with that plot point.
there are, right? Yeah.
And if you are like, that's just an okay part of the script, whatever. I think there are still a lot of very, very, very impressive realizations about the Final Fantasy VII world and Midgar and the way that all kind of fits together, scaled up from what it was, which was a very like scaled down version of real life scale. And I think they did a really impressive job of doing that. But I don't know. I don't know enough about
the other
I don't know
ones,
enough
yeah.
about Ghost of Tsushima or Hades or Half-Life Alyx to really say
It's better
how
or not.
well they all stand in that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, for me, having played both Last of Us 2 and the 7 remake, there are parts of both of those games that stand out in my mind really big. It would be a real tough call for me. They're both deeply flawed.
Mm-hmm. They are. They have exactly right. If it wasn't for that one huge flaw, Final Fantasy VII Remake would be way better, right?
The endings of both games are.
Yeah. Did you watch the ending of The Last of Us Part 2 as well?
Did I watch it? I played that game.
Oh, I didn't know you played it. I thought you had watched it only. Okay.
No. I played that game
First-hand
all the way
experience.
through,
Okay.
and
Oh, I should have asked you more about it.
Yeah, that game is bad in
Okay.
terms of the script.
Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, so Game of the Year went to The Last of Us Part 2, and if you're wondering how that could possibly be, well, I can tell you exactly the reason why. It's because the vote is divided between gamers, random gamers like us, and the game's media. And it says right on the website, gamers are 10% of the vote, and the media are 90% of the vote. And the gamer-only winner of Game of the Year was announced, and that was Ghost of Tsushima by a pretty decent number. It got like 43% of the vote or something like that. But yeah, Last of Us Part 2 got it from the game media. So that's that. But
Yeah.
forget about that. Forget about that. The most important thing in me, all of that was just, fun foreplay, yo. Okay? Now let's actually get to the intercourse.
Okay.
Best narrative. And the winner is The Last of Us Part 2. It just, that, in my opinion, that is basically just admitting to everyone that the people who choose these awards do not care what people who play games think.
I think to be real cynical about it, I think The Last of Us Part 2 is the best game to be seen supporting for a lot of reasons.
Best game to be seen supporting? Sorry. I understand what you mean, though. Yeah.
Yeah, like
you look good if you like The Last of Us.
You look
what
good
you mean?
You like that game. Yeah, and it's an easy game to sort of just go like, all right, give it to it, and not fuss and fight over it. Like, which I'm sure a lot of people are not like racking their brain over their vote on this shit. They're just like, what was big? How many clicks did I get on this? All right, it's this. And yeah, of course, a lot of people in games media are not. Perplexingly, they're not the most game literate people out there.
It's weird how that works.
It's weird. It is weird how that works, but it does. It works that way, and they're all generalists. That's kind of the reason why they all spend a little bit of time on a whole bunch of games. So none of them really ever drill massively down into a game. But yeah, I think The Last of Us Part 2 in this list. If I knew more about Ghost of Tsushima, I could probably speak to that and say if its narrative was worth a shit or not, or if it was boring or whatever. Final Fantasy VII Remake, we already spoke at length about. Hades, I heard great things about.
Yeah.
But that's actually the only one outside of Last of Us Part 2 that I heard like really good things about.
You didn't hear really good things? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess story. I didn't.
I mean, I heard great things about Last of Us Part 2 and 7 Remake from the usual crowd of people who just like those games. But as like a general like
narrative
thing,
specifically.
Yeah, I heard like very good things about the story and the characters in that game. I haven't had time for it, but I also think it would be a game I really would like. But yeah, the narrative in Last of Us Part 2 does not land. If you're someone who has played that game and you have any thoughts on it, I'd be curious to know.
I would too.
Think about it. There was a lot of this. I actually wrote somewhere. I could maybe dig it up and put it in a comment in the video. A lengthy sort of explainer on my opinion of that game coming off of it and why I thought it was. I guess a failed plot is a little harsh, but it didn't really do what it seemed to be setting out to do. It was very troubled. Like, I think they had a very hard time coming to a conclusion in the game, and to me, one of the key phrases I used was, it felt like it came in for a landing 2 or 3 times and aborted the landing for something else. Like, it could have ended itself multiple times, and at its best, it's trying to more deeply explain the characters, and at its worst, it's like a borderline schizophrenic, like it doesn't know what it wants experience. And I think some of the themes are directly counter to others that it put forward, and there are a lot of story mechanics which I don't necessarily count as part of the script, but like incidental plot points that are poorly written or lazy or not, just they're not good storytelling vehicles.
Yeah.
But as far as the overall, I would say that it makes a very big grand gesture toward nothing, which is really, to me, disappointing. Like, it does a really great job of setting a lot of stuff up, and it just has nothing to ultimately say about any of it.
The payoffs were too weak, huh?
Yeah, and it's more than like the pay. Like, it's not like, and then it was all a dream, like, you know, a cop out ending or whatever.
Yeah, it's not that.
But it's not that, literally and figuratively. It's not that, but it also, like, it's a story that would require some kind of movement toward another phase or toward some kind of, I don't know, message or whatever. Like, and this is why all of this, and it just has nothing to say, and it has a lot to seem like it says, you know.
Yeah.
And I could probably go on and on forever, but
okay.
that would be why I wouldn't give it the award.
So, did you play the first Last of Us?
I did, yeah.
And did you like the two characters, Joel and Ellie?
I thought they were fine. Yeah.
Okay, you didn't get that attached to them.
I know. I mean, I thought they could have done this game very well. I initially was like, do they need to make a Last of Us Part 2? I initially thought that was a very silly idea.
I see.
And perhaps
it was in the end.
Perhaps it was, because they didn't have a good idea to go with.
Yeah.
But knowing what those characters are and seeing parts of, like, I could see someone like with like a surgeon's scalpel making a good story out of this. But what they ended up doing felt, I could go on. But
okay, sorry. Sorry for asking.
No, I'm sure there are people who are
interested.
curious. And like I was saying, if anyone out there listening has played this game and has any thoughts on it, especially its capacity in this award, I'd be curious to know. And like I said, I might copy paste over my my thoughts that I put in some forum somewhere. But yeah, those were the awards, I guess. Would you want to go over one of the other categories, or was that?
Nope, that was all the categories, yo.
All right, that was all the categories.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was fun. So should I do my last story then?
Yeah, this one's about VaatiVidya.
You guys, this is freaking awesome. After you're done watching this video, I'll put the link in the description, and go click on it, or you could just search for it too. But go click on it and just check out this page. So VaatiVidya is one of those Souls-like game exclusive YouTubers. There are a lot of those out there now these days. But he's one of the earlier ones, and he's very popular. And VaatiVidya did a Demon Souls remake photo mode contest. And I don't remember what the prize was, but he gave something to whoever was the best one. Oh, I think that's right. And he had the winner's one, I think, become a Displate poster. Displate is a company that makes metal posters that you use magnets to mount to your wall, so you don't have to drill into the wall or make a hole with little thumbtacks. But I don't know how they get the magnets on there. I guess they just stick them on, on the wall. But anyway, and so I clicked on like the list or whatever of all the finalists. I believe it's like 64 or something total pictures on this page. And all of the pictures are absolutely amazing. These Demon Souls photo mode pictures. Aside from the game already having, it is definitely far more colorful than the original. Man. It just being really beautiful in general. There's all kinds of crazy things you can do. Of course, it pauses the game, and I believe it just pops up with a single button press. I don't know what button, but so you can do something that's a short animation or whatever, and then instantly pause the game. And you can, once you pause the game in photo mode, you can move the camera around basically anywhere you want. And then you can add effects to it. But one of the really the greatest additions to this, in my opinion, there are lots of very well-drawn faces that you can use for your character creation. And one of the things you can do is you can change the expression on the character's face. And so, like, for example, there's one of a guy just jumping off the top of the Nexus, and you're going to die when you do that. And he took the picture in midair, and he got the camera to, like, be looking just kind of over the guy's shoulder, and the guy is looking back at the camera over his shoulder, winking and smiling, like, this is going to be awesome, dude. I'm going to die.
Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's genius, yeah. And, there's one where, like, the guy's in the process of being shocked by some enemy or something, and so he, like, turned the face to make it look like he's in freaking agony. Jesus Christ, there are several pictures of the guy using the Storm Ruler sword to destroy that giant manta ray boss in that Shrine of Storms area. They all look really cool. These pictures are amazing, and I seriously want to get this game just so I can. I'm looking at a funny one right now. I seriously want to get this game just so I can take pictures now. There's one where the guy's standing on the bridge, and the dragon is about to come up right behind him and blow some fire. And he set the guy's face to have his eyes looking off to the side, like kind of, oh no, something's coming behind me. And he gave him a really worried grin. Oh man, it looks amazing.
Yeah, some of these are really good.
Right?
Some of these are like really, really, really good.
Yeah, you guys got to go check this. Apparently, this is only the finalist. I would like to see all the crappy ones too, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, some of these look like video game screenshots that are kind of cool, and some of them look like
paintings that
art.
Yeah, just like art that somebody
something
drew.
The developer would have put together in promotion
the concept
for the game
or whatever.
Something. Yeah, like not just a game screenshot. Some of these are really, really remarkable. Like that, they don't look like they would come from
gameplay, right?
Screenshot.
Yeah.
Gameplay. Yeah.
No way, that's gameplay kind of a thing.
Yeah, photo modes in games, man. I almost like get scared of them because I know I could.
You'll stop playing the game.
I know I could just like spend way the hell too long doing this. That happened to me when I was playing Mario Odyssey. There was a photo mode in that. And I took a couple photos I really, really like. I saved.
Awesome.
And I remember spending hours just like trying to get photos because I briefly got very heavily into photography a while back, and part of me, like that part of my brain is still in like active.
Yeah.
It like gets triggered like, oh, if I do this, oh, but if I go here, I gotta line this up, and then it just goes on and on and on forever.
This guy took a picture. Some of these pictures are like very what do I want to say? Like the aspect ratio is portrait, I guess it's called. It's not the same aspect ratio as a screen. It's like 3 screens on top of each other, so it looks like a very vertical, kind of like a cell phone picture, but it's large. I don't know if that's just.
I don't know if that was a tool that's part of this. I don't know how that was accomplished.
I'm thinking it must be just a thing in the game because multiple people had it, right?
Yeah, like the guy standing up on top of that dragon. That looks like not a screenshot. That looks like something hand painted.
I know, right? I know.
That's so good.
But there's this one where like just it's showing the dragon like burning a whole bunch, the guy plus a whole bunch of other guys maybe in a on the bridge, and then it says at the bottom, this photo was immediately followed by you died.
Yeah, that one's very good too. Well, yeah, take a look through this if you guys have time. It's worth a scroll for sure.
So awesome. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's my last story. Man, that is such an awesome story, yo. I'm so stoked to tell that to you guys. Yeah.
That is very, very, very cool. Yeah, take a look at that link. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up for our epic news adventure for this week.
I leveled up. How about you, Mel?
Yeah, I think I got close. Next week, maybe next week. So thank you for listening, and as always, you can stay tuned to this channel for a mostly weekly roundup of mostly RPG news.
Yep.
And our Turn-Based Memories channel for other more sporadic long-form content. We have a playthrough of Ocarina of Time by Zoltan, his first playthrough of that game, coming up at some point.
I finally got my NVIDIA Shield to work, you guys. I did a factory reset, and all of a sudden, everything works like a dream, and I can play. I started playing already Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. Looking forward to it.
All right, so we're on track for that. We have other ones in the works, too, that we all have our own little side projects that we like to post in there, so stay tuned for all of that. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Zoltan.
Thank you, Mel.
And have a good rest of your day.
Good rest of your day.